Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Yes, It Is Again Friday presentation of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, the fastest hour in American media. And, of course, a lot to discuss. There always is. It's amazing how many times on this show we end up with a topic that seems to be the topic. And then a few hours later, the topic that one can assume is going to hang around the news cycle full force, be the big story the next day, has changed in just a matter of minutes. Such is the case yesterday when the Democrat stunt show was prepared, political theater at its lowest, Democrats might think at its finest, when this phony political Operation Padilla, began in California with this senator barging into the room without the identifiers, of course, that he was a United States senator, and then lunging at the speaker, who happened to be the woman called Ice Barbie, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Of course, her security reacted. Of course, he was handled and made sure that he would not threaten her. Turns out he's a senator. He's shouting that as he comes in, but if they don't know him, how they just, oh, he's a senator, let him go. He says he's a senator. Could say anything in this day and age. And of course, that has now led to just all kind of mainstream media and their allies in the Democrat Party, or their bosses, their leaders, however you want to call it, are in full outrage mode. Later we will hear from Spartacus. Spartacus got his panties in a wad today or yesterday on the... Yes, what are you looking like that for? You know who I'm... Spartacus.
No, what does it mean?
What does it mean that Spartacus got his panties in a wad? If you think of when somebody sort of, what is that? Anyway, it means they're very, no, they're very unhappy.
Okay.
They're very angry. They got a twisty. Yeah. That's what it means. Spartacus had a drama fit on the Senate floor. But, okay, before we get into all of that, last night, of course, we learned that the nation of Israel launched a preemptive attack on Iran. Right now, right before the show began, you could see pictures circulating through the mainstream press. Iran has launched missiles at Tel Aviv, and they are everywhere. This operation by Israel is nothing short of brilliant from a military perspective. They've taken out a lot of Iran's military command and some scientists involved in building Iran as a nuclear power, codename Rising Lion. The preemptive operation was the product of what is being called unprecedented coordination between the Israeli Air Force, the military intelligence folks, Mossad, the country's defense industries, all working to gather the intelligence they needed. They had drones positioned already inside of Iran. They said they established a drone base inside Iran. At 0 hour, the Mossad operatives retrieved them from hiding spots. They placed precision missiles on a number of vehicles, embedded additional missiles throughout the country, hidden inside rocks. Israeli jets launched a simultaneous strike on dozens of Iranian sites, including the primary uranium enrichment facility in Iran. It is stunning to see what the military in Israel is capable of. You remember going back to the response to the Hamas attacks. Probably one of the most brilliant operations ever, the pagers. When Israel detonated pagers throughout the entire Hamas organization. It was stunning. It is stunning what this military is able to accomplish. It's amazing, I suppose, when you're not distracted in your military with social engineering arguments, whether people that are undergoing sex changes should be present in the military fighting force, and when they're not going through all this other social engineering business, the DEI training and how you have to call someone a certain pronoun, but when they actually focus on the enemy and on warfare in the current environment, it is amazing what the Israeli military and the Israeli entire government focus on how do we defend ourselves. It's amazing how focused they are and what they can accomplish. And it should be held up in as example to the woke leftists all around the world who want to see especially American military power reduced to the social grievances that they're trying to ruin the rest of American society with. Anyway, it is quite something. We shall. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu said yesterday when he announced all of this, that last night, that Israel will continue to bomb Iran until the nuclear threat is removed. And he says that the Iranian threat was aimed at destroying Israel. And this is a fight for Israel's very survival. They weren't going to wait to be attacked. They backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons. Iran had produced enough highly enriched uranium for 9 atomic bombs, which could wipe Israel off the face of the earth. They've been saying they wanted to do it. Netanyahu said to the brave people of Iran, he has a message for them. The people's not with the fight. The fight is not with the people of Iran. The fight is with the brutal dictatorship that has oppressed them for 46 years. Netanyahu told the Iranians he believes their day of liberation is near. When that happens, Netanyahu says, the great friendship between our two ancient peoples will flourish once again. I want to assure the civilized world we will not. Israel's not going to let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons. He said, remember, Iran calls Israel the small Satan. It calls America the great Satan. That's why for decades, It's led millions in the chant of death to Israel, death to America. Today, Israel is responding to those genocidal calls with action and with the call of our own, long live Israel and long live America. Gotta love it. That part. I'm sure, of course, in New York, the usual. In fact, I find something really extremely disgusting, distasteful. I don't know how it's tolerated. 4 inmates, or detainees, as they probably would prefer to be called, escaped from the ICE facility, the privately run facility of Delaney Hall. There are videos circulating on social media with a crowd of these rabble-rousing protesters that actually are standing in front of vehicles trying to depart, and in some cases, the vehicles retreated. These people have surrounded that place, and I don't know where the National Wells I don't know why we don't see sufficient force around this facility to repel these actors, these bad actors who basically look like they're pushing back the federal government's effort. And when they do capture those that escaped, I would suggest, since they cannot be held safely at Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey, that they perhaps ship them out immediately to Club Gitmo. And let's see whether they can escape from Gitmo. Just a suggestion. Now, when we get back, we will go through some of the outrage. There's this too. Remember yesterday we played the Florida sheriff? My goodness, we can only play one example today, but we'll have others tomorrow, perhaps, if we're not overtaken with that. Liberals are reacting to the sheriff's announcement down there in Brevard County, Florida, with shock, dismay, and anger. Beautiful to witness. And like I said, we have Spartacus and others. We've got the No King's Day rally scheduled for tomorrow. It's just, the news is just popping out, bursting out from all seams. So we'll continue. James Golden, Snerdley with you here. It is the fastest hour in American media. James Golden, Snerdley, keep it right here. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, a word, if you don't mind, from Representative Eric Swalwell. Of course, Fang Fang wasn't there, but don't let that stop you from enjoying this.
What can you do at home? It's No King's Day this Saturday. 2,000 rallies across America. Americans need to show up, because if we don't show up, democracy dies.
So let me see if I got this right. If a bunch of libs don't show up at rallies this weekend, democracy is going to die. Okay. Democracy's dead unless you show up for their rallies. James Golden, Snerdley, I mentioned during the opening remarks today that Spartacus had a moment of drama on the Senate floor. You should have seen him. The only thing that was missing, his makeup. He did not have good makeup. There was no lipstick or whatever it is that they do to highlight the lips. But he had the angry mug. He was standing in a defiant. He was sometimes looking like he was hurt. Sometimes he was so angry he couldn't contain himself. It's like somebody hiked them panties up way up there, and he almost squeaked. But he was not squeaking. He was mad. He was angry. Angry. And this, my friends, is Spartacus Booker, senator from New Jersey.
If you could make Alex Padilla forcibly kneel before this executive, when does it stop? He's a United States senator. And if you could force him to kneel to his knees violently, when does it stop? What does it say to other Americans who want to speak up? What does it say to other Americans that want to exercise their constitutional duty? What does it say to other Americans this weekend when they want to peacefully protest? What does it say to other Americans from humble backgrounds who know poverty? That if a United States senator who stands up to do his job can be made to heel, driven to his knees, violently handcuffed, what does it say? What message does it send? Everybody in this body should see that this is a crossroads. They treated a member of the United States Senate violently after he identified himself, dragged him out of a room, threw him upon the ground, and put him in handcuffs. Every member of this body should object to that. Why? Because the statement was that he was disrespectful. That is unacceptable. That is offensive. That is un-American. When you drive
he presented
a man
himself
to
as a
his
threat.
in the United States,
Everybody in this body ought to be. They put him on his knees. They made him heel. This guy's such a drama mama. James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media. Whatever you do, do not go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
So I'm gonna break it down for you, all right? And if somebody wants to know what I mean by turn violent, all right, this is what I mean. If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play. This has got to stop. You're watching what's taking place out there. You're seeing police officers that are being attacked, being spit on, being put in harm's way just for doing their jobs. You're seeing ICE agents that are being targeted for doing their jobs. And you're seeing obstructionists that are doing all of this, standing in the way of law and order.
Please tell me I'm dreaming and I just didn't watch a press conference from Brevard County in Florida where the cop said that the protesters are going to be jailed if they do this. And then if they get near a car, they're going to be ran over. And they're going to be shot if they point a gun at a police. Are you kidding me? First of all, to come out there and talk about your residents that way, you're going to run them down, shoot them? You should be ashamed of yourself. But the funny thing is that if you look at all the protests that have been going on since November, the people who are causing problems are MAGA chuds who are trying to run people over at protests and carry guns, and the cops. So get your together.
We'll have more tomorrow, God willing, we're here. James Golden, Snerdley with you, America's fastest hour in media. Okay, let's get to some of the other things, my friends, on on the roster. You heard Spartacus. Unbelievable. Here's what's going on locally. I have two examples. Carlos, cut one, cut two. The first one is a Los Angeles City Councilwoman. She's an elected official of the city of Los Angeles. Her name is Imelda Padilla. I don't know whether she's related or not to Senator Let's Stage a Show and then play victim Padilla, but whatever. The second guy is from Pennsylvania. He's a commissioner. His name is John Irons. Listen to these two and see if you'll pick up immediately the theme that runs concurrently between them.
Can we use technology like AI technology?
She's, by the way, talking to a
create a situation where your department can
She's
identify,
to the police chief
hey,
of LA.
There's agents, non-city of LA, in a neighboring town. Everyone go on alert in a way where you can support our business community and our immigrant community to know that it's time. That's something related to the lack of due process, the lack of warrants is about to hit our town. I'm asking
I'm not sure what you're asking me.
creativity question here. What can your department do to do more to warn us, to warn the business community that outside of our LA borders, coming in from Inglewood, coming in from Antelope Valley, I don't know, you can warn us so that we can warn our folks in the spirit of your loyalty to the city of Los Angeles?
So you're asking me to warn you about an enforcement action being taken by another agency before it happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Why not?
That would be obstruction of justice. You may want to talk to the city attorney about that.
We need to be out here with the community, marching in the streets and saying that we will not abide this. We need to use our authority and our position to stand in front and block ICE from taking neighbors whenever possible.
So first you have a city councilwoman asking the chief of police, hey, can you set up some kind of technology to give us warning when ICE, you guys know you're the sheriffs, can you help us? So that you give us early morning when ICE is, the police chief is like incredulous. You're asking me to give you a tip-off. And she's saying this in public. Why not? You're asking the police to give you a tip-off when ICE might be coming or law enforcement might be coming. Yeah. Why not? Why can't you do it? And then this guy from Pennsylvania, which, by the way, Lehigh, Pennsylvania. You guys in Lehigh, Pennsylvania may, if something happens and there are actions there, let's see whether this guy is going to do what he's telling other people to do, to stand in front of ICE and to block them. He's asking people to break the law. His name, again, John Irons. Lehigh. He's a commissioner in Lehigh, Pennsylvania, demanding, asking, begging citizens to openly break the law and obstruct ICE. Then you have this guy. Folks, I do everything in my power to contain myself and not call this man names. Because to me, he is one of the most intellectually challenged congressmen. I mean, there are some intellectual challenges in the House. You've got, of course, Yasmin. You've got Auntie Maxie. And then you have Representative Dan Goldman from New York. And this is Congressman, cut 3, this is Congressman Goldman.
I will be introducing a bill that will prevent Homeland Security officers from hiding or concealing their identities and wearing masks, because we don't live in a country, an authoritarian country, where we have secret police who are masked, who are intimidating, who are scaring people. That's the stuff of authoritarian states. That is not the stuff of that's not how the United States operates. And that's really where this is breaking down, is the combination of these Gestapo-like tactics with the fact that these are nonviolent, non-criminal immigrants doing things the right way. And that's why you're seeing protests all around the country. It's not that they're protesting that people who have convictions are being removed. They're protesting that they're going after all of our communities, and they're undermining the legal process.
Number one, he's another Democrat. He ought to be ashamed of himself, talking about Gestapo-like tactics. Gestapo didn't wear masks, by the way. The SS didn't wear masks. They just came, and what the Gestapo did to people is absolutely no laughing matter. The torture, the Gestapo rounded up. We are literally talking about millions of people who were rounded up and sent to their deaths in some of the most heinous ways. And what Dan Goldman and other Democrats like Tim Walz are saying is that, American, if you have relatives, if you have friends who work for Homeland Security, if you have friends, relatives that work at any of these law enforcement agencies, you should be outraged at this man, this congressman. Number one, his bill is so that these people can be doxxed. Let's just call it what it is. This is a pro-dox ICE bill. He wants them to have to go into these hostile environments with name tags, with their identities being known, so that groups like Antifa, and so the millions of dollars that are being spent by the left in opposition to this, so that they can identify who these officers are, and they don't care whether these officers are killed. They don't care whether these officers would be wounded, killed, their families harassed. They don't care. They don't care about the lives of American agents of the federal government who are doing their jobs. They don't care if they get killed. They don't care if their families get harassed. They care about people that came to this country illegally. His concern is that they stay there. And that they, even though they were warned, this election was a clear mandate on, we need to get a handle on this illegal immigration, and nothing here is a surprise. But Dan Goldman not only infers that they're the Gestapo, just like Tim Walz flat out called them the Gestapo, Dan Goldman is calling them the Gestapo, which is heinous. And now he's demanding, through a bill, which thankfully will never get through, at least the Republican Congress. If it's an all-Democrat Congress, folks, this could get through. And that ought to send chills for the election of 2026. What happens if Democrats get in? But he wants ICE agents to be doxxed, because that would be the consequence of what he is. He did not say in words, I want them doxxed, but his bill would have consequences. And those consequences would be that ICE agents would be doxxed. And have no doubt, if some of these crazies on the left could kill these people, they would. You doubt me? Listen to how out of control their anger is. Listen to how out of control some of these people are. Cut 17, Carlos. 17. Just.
How much more discrimination are we gonna watch, America? They just threw Senator Alex Padilla to the ground. A Senate U.S. Senator detained like a criminal. We're asking a question to the Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem. That's an assault on our democracy. That's an assault on you. An assault on all of us. We are living in a dictatorship right now. Trump is launching the preys not on gangs, not on cartels, on American businesses, on workers, on migrants who show up early, stay late, and ask for nothing but a chance to live. How the does that help the economy? How the does that help this country? You want to know what that is? It's racism, it's hatred, it's straight up fascism dressed as law and order. Now more U.S. troops are in L.A. than in Iraq and Syria combined. 4,800 mobilized in Los Angeles like it's a war zone. This isn't security. This is propaganda. This is the opening act of a American nightmare. June 14th, Donald Trump's birthday. You know what that monster wants? Celebrate his reign of cruelty, to flex military power, to crush protests, to eradicate the voices of the people. And I got news for him. The people are rising. And on June fucking 14th, we are coming in unstoppable numbers for the children, for the migrants, for the elders, for the ones in detention, for the soul of this country.
Hello.
Yeah.
I am so angry right now at what this administration is doing. All the videos I've seen of children being taken from their mothers.
Where are those videos?
Senator made to leave by asking a question.
What happened?
This is disgusting. I'm considering going to the protest in my town on Saturday, but I'm just so angry. I feel like I'm going to be arrested. I don't know how to stop this. How can we stop them? Help me understand. It's not working. Nothing works. This is a dictatorship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so what Dan Goldman wants, give these people the ability to track down these ICE agents. That's what a New York congressman is calling for after he calls them after he tells the world that these people doing their jobs are using Gestapo tactics. These people have no idea yes, they may. These people are stirring up something here that is really hard to contain. And I'm going to keep fingers crossed that this Saturday excursion into nationwide protests, you hear how angry these people are. What in the world? What are these people thinking? We'll be lucky, folks, if we can get through tomorrow the way some of these people are so unhinged without significant problems. James Golden, Snerdley with you. Fastest hour in American media continues. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, Snerdley with you here. There is a huge fight. One of the things, I hope we have some time to talk about this tomorrow. Donald Trump's administration this week gave deportation officials, according to the AP, the personal data, including immigration status on millions of Medicaid enrollees, a move that could make it easier to locate people as part of his sweeping immigration crackdowns. Now, what is the first thing that you should note about that? Well, it's this. Hakeem Jeffries, and we played it, just called Republicans out. He said there are no illegal immigrants on Medicaid. There are none. There were no illegal immigrants on Medicaid. Let me revisit that first paragraph here from the Associated Press. President Donald Trump's administration this week provided deportation officials with personal data, including the immigration status on millions of Medicaid enrollees, a move that could make it easier to locate people as part of his sweeping immigration crackdown. An internal memo and emails obtained by the Associated Press show that Medicaid officials unsuccessfully sought to block the data transfer, citing legal and ethical concerns. Well. You thought, if you listened to Democrats, that there were no illegal immigrants on Medicaid. You thought wrong. Apparently, there are millions. Now, in some cases, what the out is going to be, well, that's only state money that's used for them. Really? And that should make a difference that states are paying taxpayer dollars for it? Anyway, James Golden Snerdley here. The fastest hour in American media comes to a close for today. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, and your loved ones. Love and gratitude for all of you. God willing, we're here in the morning, 7 a.m. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.